Hello everyone, welcome to this tutorial video. Well, on the last tutorial video, I was pointing you towards the viewing the documentation that talks about the report card design. So I'm thinking we should do that now. Now you can either use the help manual or you can go through the local, help manual to, get there. So the local one is the one that comes pre-installed with the application server. So I'm just going to click on this. Okay, and so if you go to the student under student management, you'll see report card designer. Okay, you can click on it, and then it has a lot of information about creating um, report cards designs, as well as building your own custom ones. So coming down to the custom, you would see a lot of information that first of all, you would see that the Excel file must be created with the recent version of Microsoft Excel. So from 2007 up till now, you can make use of that format. Now it shows you a few things, as well as shows you how it will look when you select it. Now you would notice that it's basically says over here that to create a new custom design, you need to choose the custom option from the drop down. So this is basically the drop down. So whenever you choose custom with the name custom like this, okay, you can be able to create a new one, even if you have previously created a custom one before. The one you have created the name will show up on the drop down. Okay, the names need to be unique, so you cannot reuse an existing name that is already there. Okay, so in the preview, when using the custom designs, when you click on the preview button, you may not see some of the fonts, and this is also something that you should also be aware of, because it is possible that you want to use this custom design online if you have the SmartSkool online subscription. So if you get to use so much fancy fonts, most of those fonts will be replaced, because um, we do not process fonts that you store in the file. If you were using a custom design, we process those fonts, and the fonts will be available online as well. Okay, now these options to the left, they are disabled for your custom design, because we respect whatever it is you put on the file. Your colors, your font sizes and everything are respected. So these options over here, they do not apply to the custom design. Okay, now if you're also using the networking feature, whereby multiple systems within your school can make use of SmartSkool, and then be able to like do a whole lot of things like generate results, you might also be careful using so many fonts. In fact, I would advise you just stick to the default one if possible, because if the fonts are not also available on those systems, you would not be able to see those font effects unless you're using it from a single system and generating it on that system. But if you are using the SmartSkool Online feature, your fonts would not be carried along, because the system basically does not, we just look at the file itself. We don't really pay attention to the fonts. So maybe in the future we might consider that, but at the moment we do not pay attention to anything. We just look at the file and then process the content, and replace the placeholders which are there. Now there are a couple of placeholder types. The first is the general placeholder. So general placeholders are placeholders that are They just replaced once. They could, in the ideal case, they would only be existing once, but who knows, you might want to reuse them. It's also going to be, replaced if it occurs in more than one place. Now, when we talk about either current ones, if you look over here, I don't know if you can see this. Maybe I should just open it in a new tab so that it shows larger. Okay, or I think I even have it open here. Now if you look at this Excel document, you will notice that this is like where the subjects are supposed to be, um the subject information is supposed to be presented and then repeated for every subject. We normally refer to this row as the subject placeholder row. So basically what happens is, um, it is this information is replaced for each subject, so there is a repetition. That's why we refer to this as a subject, and it is specific to a subject, so subject placeholders. So something like a full name it's like a general placeholder, so it is not like it's not like it's repeated by the system. Okay, for something like this, they are repeated by the system, and then you will see several of the subject placeholders which you can make use of. As you would also see on the documentation, we advise you to probably put all of them that are repeated together. Okay, it is best that way, but the system should also recognize if you don't put them together, but it makes logical sense to put them together. Now, similar to the rating part as well, there are specific ones for rating that are repeated. Okay, same thing with the grading as well. Grading, placeholders are also repeated, so those are like particular to like grading. Okay, so the general are not repeated at all. The general placeholders are not repeated at all. So they're just replaced as is, so your design is not going to be changed. But for these ones, okay, what the system is going to do is it's going to push everything down and then fill in all the subject rows. Same thing with this. If there's anything down, it's going to push it down and then fill it with all the ratings. Okay, now let me quickly go back to the application and then explain something. I think I should go to the documentation itself, right, and explain a few things. So there are so many placeholders. You can just copy them as is and use. As you can see, school is already used here, motto is already used here, address and contact are already used. The image is the student image. The logo is the school logo, which you set in the school group. So if you come to manage school group and I click on the school group and I click view full information, you would see the information which you configured. So this is the motto, the school group name. This is a school name. It also shows up, this is like the head title. So these are the things I configured during the setup, and this information can be used. They are placeholder for basically almost all of them. Okay, that you can use to build a report the way you want. Okay, I'm just going to scroll down. There are a lot of things. You might just want to go through and read them to know the ones which which you would want to use. Now, so these are the subject placeholders. As you can see here, they are specific to subjects and will be repeated for each subject. So each subject, the student whose result is being generated, it will be repeated for him. So if, for instance, I'm taking an optional subject, that subject is going to be available for me, but it's not going to be available for someone that's not taking it. Okay, so these are like customized to a particular student whenever it is being generated. It's not like the same subject shows up for everyone. Yeah, if everyone is in the same subject, then yes, it's going to show up for everyone. So these are the explanations are there. So I think it's pretty much explanatory, and also it is being used already. You can find, if you want to see the sample report, sample design and the sample report, you can come here. So to guide you, you can see this sample template design and then the report that it was used to generate. So if I click on this, we can see a sample report which was generated from that design. So basically this design which we are making use of. So you can see a sample report, and then it can also give you a clue of what to expect, a clue of what to expect. Yeah. So coming back here, there is, I think the one I need to really explain is the rating. There's really a lot of placeholders which you can make use of. Okay, I think I need to explain more of the rating, but let me just quickly touch on the grading. So the grading is also repeated. So this is like the grade itself. There's some examples here, some whatever it is you specify, A1, B, that's basically what it will use to replace for each grade entry. So these grading placeholders, they're like grading keys. So it basically gives the user an idea of how the grades are calculated. So this is like the grade itself. This is like the range. So let's say 0 to 39. This is like the description, and this is like the GP if your school makes use of it. So you can include that, or you can take that off. Now you mustn't use all of them. Okay. This is one thing you need to know. You must not use all of everything you find. Okay, you can remove a few things, and yeah, you can add a few more. The report, this does not use everything. Okay, it just uses a few of the placeholders. It uses a lot, but it tries as much as possible so that it can guide you on something to expect. Now, as you can see here, you can see the grade ranges. Okay, so this is like the range is like 0 to let me just try to zoom this a little bit so that you can see it. Okay, so this is like the range which we talked about. This is GP, this is the description. Okay, this is the grades itself, so you can see all the grades from the highest grade to the lowest grade. So it's like the grading keys. So that's basically what the grading placeholder does. Now for the ratings, there are like 3 different types of ratings which you can make use of. I think this is the part I really need to pay attention to. Now you would notice that it says that you need to replace X with the integer number of the grading groups. Now by default, it is possible. I think I should go this way. It is possible to have more than one grading group. Okay, if you come to student management, rating groups, sorry. So if you come to student ratings, rating group, you can create you can create multiple rating groups. And now ratings, there will definitely be ratings under those rating groups. Okay, so in this report over here, you will see that there is a rating group called affective. This is another rating group called locomotive. There are multiple rating groups you could have, and then there are different ways you could display them. Now this is the tabular form of the display. If you want to use ticks, this ticks, that's basically what you might want to use the tabular form. But if you want to just put the rating and the value, so this is like a 2-column mode, okay, of showing the rating. This is like a 2-column mode. If you just want to show there is another way of doing this. Now let's go to the, now this is like the rating group name. Basically, this does not repeat, but if you specify it more than one place, it's definitely going to, replace all the, points which you specified it. But it doesn't, like, repeat, because it is just the name itself. But the rating itself repeats. So what are we trying to talk about? So let us come to this document. You can see here that this is the rating group name. You can see that we're saying that we want the first rating group, okay, and then this is saying we want the fourth rating group, because you can see 4 over here. So it means that there were so many rating groups, that were created, up to 4 at least in this, template. There were up to 4, and then the fourth one is actually being replaced. Okay, that's basically what this says. Now, okay, now these are the ones that are being repeated, for rating. So the key, R key, and R val. But now there are different R vals. As you can see, this is the R key. So it's like the rating title or the name. So it's like the key of the rating, something that identifies that particular rating, because within a rating group, you cannot have the same, rating with the same name. So it's like a key, like an identifier for that rating. Okay, so you can see here that if you want the first rating group, you replace X with 1. So this is X, this is X. So basically what it does is that it goes through the first rating group if you specify X as 1, and then it replaces all the rating, for itself. Now this is a pattern of, displaying the rating value, but using alphabets. Okay, as you can see here, you can see this is A. A means that you're basically using alphabets, and that is the case for this one. As you can see here, we specify the rating key, but we're using just like it's a 2-column mode. So you can see that it uses A over here. And then looking at the generated report, you can see that uses A, B, C, A being the best. Okay, there is another mode of this. So instead of using A, B, C, you might want to use 1, 2, 3, and that is the N. N stands for numbers. So if you want to use numbers, it's instead you just change the A here to N. If you change the A here to N, it is going to show you numbers. Now it starts, like we talked about the best. 5 is the best, in a 5-scale rating. Okay, in a 5-scale rating, the higher number is always better than the lower number. So for alphabets, A is the best. As you go down the alphabet chain, it gets, the rating gets worse. But for the numbers, 1 is like the worst, and as you keep going higher, it gets better. Okay, so that's the one thing you need to know. Now for the ticks, it is a little different, than for the 2-column, and that is, where you specify T here instead of, A or N. So this is where you specify T. For the ticks, you need to put it in all of the places where the ticks are going to be. So if you notice here, this is T here, basically you just put the same thing in all the cells. Like I said, the ticks is better at best, in a tabular form. If you want to make use of a tabular form, this kind of this type, the ticks is best. So what the system does is that it goes through and then it checks the one that matches the rating that was specified, and then it adds a tick to that point, and it deletes all the other ones that are not. So if you notice, we specified it in all the cells, okay, for the rating, but for the very first one, only C was ticked. So it noticed that, okay, I'm supposed to put a tick here. It checks, is this corresponding to the value? No, and then it deletes that placeholder. Same thing with B, D, and E. Okay, but you need to arrange your rating from the best to the worst, so that the system knows where to place each. So the best or the worst, as you can see, A is better than E, like we already previously explained. If you were to use numbers, you'd want to use 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so you need to arrange from the best to the worst, because that's the way the system is going to assume you are, you know, making this, designing this. That's basically what the system is always going to assume. So you need to do that. So there are some explanations here. If you do not understand what I just, explained to you, you can also, go through and then read for yourself, and hopefully you get a better understanding. All right, thank you so much for watching this, and see you in the next.